Hi, I'm Michael Anthony, the author of How to Be Happy and Have Fun Changing the World. We're going to start with the end, have fun changing the world, and then we'll come back to the beginning. Let me tell you a little quick story about changing the world. I was at an electronics store the other day trying to get my audio system fixed, so I could do a YouTube. And talking to the salesman, he said, "What are you up to?" I said, "Well, I'm doing a YouTube and for my happy book. And let me ask you a question." And it'll be the same question that I'm going to ask you, and it relates to the 8 words that were up there a couple of minutes ago. And I asked him, I says, if everyone was always truthful, positive, and helping others, would the world be a better place? He said, of course it would. He says, first off, the world's getting smaller. There's more and more people, and there's less resources to go around. We're going to have to learn how to get along with each other, or we're going to end up blowing each other apart. And I asked him, I said, would that help? He said, of course it would. I don't think we have to argue about being, if I'm always truthful, positive, and helping others, it will change the world. Of course it'll change the world. Unfortunately, I can't change the world, and neither can you. However, the only thing we can change are ourselves. Now, do you think it's possible to become always truthful, positive, and helping others, or at least try to become that way? Well, let me give you a little background about these 8 words. I grew up in 1943 in a blue-collar neighborhood. My father was a longshoreman, and when you got out of high school, most of the kids in my neighborhood, we'd either go down on the docks like our fathers, or we'd go into the factories like Domino Sugar, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola. And I decided I wanted more out of life. So I worked for 2 years, and then I went to college. I went to the University of Maryland, graduated in 3.5 years. I was president of my fraternity. I was an ambitious person. I was a positive person. And so from there I said, now what? I said, okay, let's go up to New York. So I go up to New York City, Manhattan, got a job in international banking with one of the largest banks in the world in the Wall Street area. Went to NYU, New York University, working on my MBA at night. And this is back in the late 60s when people didn't even know what an MBA was. And I was on a fast track to becoming a senior vice president. I married a beautiful woman. We went to the best plays, best ballets, best restaurants, all the great things that New York had to offer. And I should have been totally happy. However, I start realizing that, I had more fun when I was a kid playing on the railroad tracks and swimming in Baltimore Harbor. And I thought, uh-oh, something's wrong here. I'm 25, 26, 27 years old, having my midlife crisis. And so I read a book, Cracking the Cosmic Egg by Joseph Pierce, and it started me thinking about the wonderful world that we have inside. Instead of looking at the outside for pleasures, I started turning within. So since I was ambitious, I read a lot of books, Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy, eventually left the business world, stopped working on my MBA, moved out to San Francisco, was still searching, for what would make me happy. And I was swimming in the bay. I swam Alcatraz, I swam the Golden Gate Bridge. It wasn't that I lacked discipline. I had a lot of discipline. I lacked direction. Fortunately, I ran across my mentor, Edgar Phillips, who taught me all about the chemistry of the brain and how that affects everything about us. The chemistry of your brain affects your health, it affects your happiness, your immune system, your creativity, everything. And I said, wow, this makes a lot of sense. And so where do we go from here? I said, let's take it to the business world. Because at that time, it was in the early 80s, Reagan was president, there was a big push on productivity. And I said, let's take it to the business world, show them how to change the emotions, change the chemistry of the brain, increase productivity. What a great way to do it. However, Phillips had a little control mechanism in there that would keep you from, that would help direct you from being to be positive instead of being negative. And the device was, I will, from this time on, live the life of truth. I'll never knowingly lie, no matter what, boom, the consequences. That was it. You couldn't lie no matter what the consequences. So guess what business did? When it came to the choice of making a buck or being totally truthful, guess which one business voted for? They wanted to make a buck. So let me slow down a little bit. I'm rushing. I only have 10 minutes to get this thing on the tube. So I worked with some of the businesses I worked with was banking, oil companies, insurance companies. That gave you an idea what the resistance I was going up against. I wasn't working with all the businesses, so I can't say all the businesses weren't willing to be honest. However, the ones I did were having a hard time. So I figured, okay, now what? What do I do? I said, sports. Because, an athlete, when they're positive, they perform better when they're negative. There was a perfect feedback loop because of the mind-body connection. They can't deny that when they're positive, they perform a lot better when they're negative. So I worked with a whole variety of athletes in the Bay Area who was having a lot of success. This was approaching '84, so I figured, let's go down to LA for the Olympics, see what I can do. Down there, I ran across Ruby Fox. She was a pistol shooter. She was supposed to make the Olympic team. It was a chance meeting, and she said, I'm not even going to make the Olympic team. I said, you have any more chances? She said, yeah, I got one more in about an hour. So I gave her Evelyn Wood speed reading course on, emotions and chemical changes of the brain. And out of a possible 300 points, she shot 299, made the Olympic team. During the Olympics, she got into a shoot-off for the gold medal. After about a half-hour perfect bullseyes with her and her opponent, she ended up getting giddy, and she ended up with the silver. So that's not too bad. Number 2 in the world, just by helping somebody understand how their emotions affect the performance, the chemistry of the brain, and their performance. And so then people said, what about us? We don't play sports. And I said, okay, well, here I was back to the business thing. What could I, how could I relate my model, to the people out there, so that they wouldn't, rationalize away why it's okay to be negative. Because in sports, I wrote a book, The Mental Keys to Improve Your Golf, and I helped thousands and thousands of golfers to lower the score merely by changing their emotions to facts. Instead of being negative, they became, positive or reduced to negative. So this took me back to the book, which is How to Be Happy and Have Fun Changing the World. I needed a feedback loop, and I figured, happiness. Everybody knows when they're happy or sad. So happiness is a chemical state. And the 8 words, if you're always truthful, positive, and helping others, what you're going to be doing, you'll be enhancing your chemistry, which will enhance your creativity, will enhance your happiness, it'll enhance everything. You can't, deny that. If you have any doubts that happiness is a chemical state, take a look at the pharmaceutical companies and what they found out. Cholesterol drugs are the number 1 drug in the United States. Number 2 is antidepressants. Would you believe that 1 out of every 10 persons in the United States is on antidepressant drugs? Now, what about social drinkers? They even have a thing called happy hour. You go to a restaurant between certain hours in the afternoon, you can have drinks for less money. Makes you happy. What about the sugar high? If you're depressed, have some ice cream, have some cake. What we're doing, we're taking external chemicals to create our happiness when all you have to do is select the proper emotions and you create your own chemical highs. Anyway, think about it. So I wrote the book, How to Be Happy and Have Fun Changing the World, and I challenge you out there. I says, go to my website, howtobehappy.org, and there's links, the 8 words. Push the link, download the 8 words, print them out, and put them on your wall, or put them in a frame like this and reflect on them every single day. I'm always truthful, positive, and helping others. And when you reflect on it, when you say, I'm always truthful, listen to your gut. Because if you're not always truthful, you're going to get a gut feeling saying, hey, you're not always truthful. When you say, I'm always positive, same thing. You're going to get a gut feeling saying, you're not always positive. And all your thoughts are 2 components. Facts and emotions. You may not be able to change the facts. You may have a lot of terrible facts you're dealing with, but you can change your emotions. And when you have positive emotions, your creativity goes up, you'll find solutions to get out of there. So we're running out of time. All I'm going to say is next video, we're going to explain the 8 words, how they work, how to control the chemistry, what you're up against when you go to change. But in the meantime, if you like what I'm saying, subscribe, so you'll know when my video is coming out. And all I can say is I do my best to be, I'm always truthful, positive, and helping others. I'm a happy man. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.